here we go, guys. So I'm going to start out by commending him, whatever he says in his opening statement, because he's going to go first. Okay. And whatever he says in that he says is good or about his character, I'm going to commend him. I'm going to relieve some of his concerns. He don't like the word work salvationist. So I'm going to talk about work sanctificationist. And I'm going to explain that if he believed the gospel at one point in time that it was faith alone, then I would consider that a work sanctificationist because he's already saved, So the challenge is this. Here, y'all read. Go ahead, somebody read. Janet, to wake yourself up more, read this one.
Salvation.
Sure. See? Salvation. Salvation has a beginning point, and also salvation has an end point. The opening statement challenge salvation involves.
You don't read that part. That's just reminding you of what it is.
Okay. Salvation involves a process that occurs within our time on earth. We have passed from death to life or eternal life. Temporal judgment occurs. God disciplines in temporal judgment. Yeah. Temporal judgment.
So the same thing. I can look at the chart and say that same stuff. So I may just use the chart,
Yeah, so the perseverance is not in order to be saved, but it is the experience.
Yeah. Eternal, preserved, temporally persevere. Okay.
Eternal fellowship.
All right. So this is from Dillo. He's quoting somebody else. I can't remember who it is. But and when you're talking about typology, you're talking about how the nation of Israel is depicted like the unbeliever at first when they're in Egypt, they're in bondage. Okay. But then they get saved. What?
What is NPS?
National Positional Salvation.
National.
That's my term that I made up. I have national positional salvation. I have national temporal salvation. I have temporal individual salvation and individual positional salvation. Okay.
So all of those are.
National positional salvation is the idea that the whole nation gets saved at one time. Okay.
So that's Israel only.
Well, in that passage, yes. And there were some Egyptians that got saved as well. But anyway, national temporal salvation is like when Israel gets saved all at once from a particular event. So like
when do you think where they are all saved as a nation?
When they were all saved as a nation, if you're just talking about Israel alone, I would say Exodus 4:30 and 31. Where it said the people believed, and then if someone wants fruit, it says they worship and bow down.
When they get out from Egypt.
No.
Exodus,
before the Passover, before all that, when Moses first approached them, it says the people believed.
Oh, okay. So all all Israelites are saved throughout all generations.
No, we're just focusing on the Exodus generation at that point.
So how about what generation is that?
The Exodus generation, the first generation that's going out of Egypt.
So how about the second generation? Are they saved?
Yes.
So that's throughout the generation, from first throughout the generation until fourth generation.
Well, the thing is when you're talking about the second generation, what you have to remember is that everyone above 20 years of age from the first generation, God killed them. Okay, they died in the wilderness, except for Joshua and Caleb. because they had a different spirit. Right? They were saved, but it was talking about they had different characteristics. They
That
brought back a good report, you know. And this idea, the Kadesh Barnea, wherever the spies bring back a bad report as opposed to their good report, is key for understanding the book of Hebrews. Okay.
report to God or report to Moses?
Well, it was a report to Moses, but it was a report reflecting either their faith or their lack of faith. Because Joshua and Caleb are like, yeah, we can go in and take the land. Let's do it. And everybody's like, no, there's giants, and we're like grasshoppers, you know, and they were scared or making an excuse. So in Exodus 4, it's possible they could have been saved already, but I would point to there that the people believed. Now, later on, some of the Egyptians are going to believe at the time of the Passover, you know. So there's that aspect of things. But by the time
So-
you go ahead.
I want to have a clarification to my sleepy brain.
All right.
National position, what is that? National
Positional salvation.
positional salvation is only for the Israelites
Yeah.
throughout the generation.
Well,
I want that to clarify.
well, all right. Think of it like this. Only the first generation of Israel were nationally positionally saved. Other generations had believers and unbelievers in them. Okay.
So in the second
It's sort of
generation,
like the millennium. When the millennium begins, all of Israel are believers. Got it?
Okay, so that's the reason all believers trying to gather the Israelites to go back to the land or help the Israelites, Israel.
What do you mean?
Is that? I'm in in Christianity world, people
Oh, I got you. I got you. You're talking
help.
about right now in the church age, there's a movement where people want the Jews to go back to their promised land.
Yeah, that's
Well, it's related to prophecy, but it's different because when they go back to the promised land now, eventually the Antichrist is going to scatter them, or they're going to flee.
again.
Yes, not all of Israel is going to reject the Antichrist. Some of them are going to not remain unbelievers, but there's going to be 144,000 at least that are believers, and they're the ones that flee in the wilderness and are protected. So you're right. You see the connection, right? Look, Rowena is here. So look, after Egypt gets delivered, right?
Yeah.
Then the wilderness experience occurs.
See, yeah, carnal Christian in the wilderness.
But in Revelation, the wilderness is a place of protection. Because I honestly think of it like this. Even the wilderness, even though it was a place of discipline in the Old Testament, even the wilderness was a place of protection. Do you know why? The nation did not have enough faith to trust God to defeat their enemies. So if God would allow all of Israel to go into the promised land, only Joshua and Caleb and anyone under 20 would survive. But God waited in the wilderness to do more discipleship, to teach them so that they could build their faith. Okay.
So is that the same principle in our lives today?
Yeah, there's definitely an application, is that there's a reason why God just doesn't give us everything at salvation. God doesn't upgrade us to to the best a version of who we are. What he does is he does a process, you know. God's got like Logos 2 million, right? But we have to go through Logos 11 right now. Is that what they're on now, or 9? I don't know, something like that. There's a long way to get to 2 million. So we have to get upgrades, you know, as we go. And as we're learning in sanctification, we get, you know, we develop more capacity for representing God. Okay. Okay, so Janet and Lisa, I need you to catch Rowena up on what we're doing.
Just
I was just
Lisa.
starting.
And you can use Tagalog.
We're just starting.
If you're an English speaker, you can go use the bathroom and come back. The Filipinas will still be talking. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, mahal, nag-uumpisa lang kami. Turo ko lang yung NPS. Sa atin NPA, di ba? Dito naman National Positional Salvation.
Okay.
Na ang National Positional Salvation ay para lang sa Israel.
Oh,
Right.
para lang
Hanggang first generation. Hindi kasama ang second generation sa lahat.
second generation tayo, di ba?
No, we are Gentiles. We are not Israelites.
Ang pinag-usapan dito mga Israelites.
Israelites, Israel, we are the church, so we are not Israelites. The Israel and church is different. So we are the church, and the national positional salvation is only for the Israelites or Israel.
Israel.
Because we are Gentiles.
But watch
but-
this, Asawako. In Acts 2.
Talking,
Oh.
I'm mute. Alam mo.
Okay, mute.
Who's muted? Me?
No, I
talking, but
muted. I
she's-
keep talking, but I'm
Oh,
muted.
okay. Oh, all right.
Okay.
We thought you
I
were just being
Yeah.
listening mode, but okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Israelites and the church. What is the differences? We are church, right?
Yes.
Jeanette? Yeah. What is the difference of that? Is that the generation?
No.
The Israelites, I will try. Okay? I will try. The Israelites are the chosen one of God, and they are. It seems like they are the true children, and we are adopted through Christ because of Christ Jesus. The church the church are. We are adopted and through Christ Jesus. So
Okay.
the Israelites are the one, para bang tunay na anak ang Israelites, tas kita ampon. Yan.
Kawawa naman pala tayo.
Nagiging ampon, naampon tayo nang dahil sa
Kay
Panginoong
Jesus
Hesus.
Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
let me talk about this for a minute. All right. So when we're talking about salvation, okay, it's the same. It's always the same. Okay.
And every dispensation.
Yes, it's the same. But when we're talking about people groups, Gentiles, Jews, things like that, that's not about salvation. That's about, in other words, it's not sociological, it's sociological. So,
Sociological.
yeah. All right. I haven't spelled this word a long
Oh.
time. But anyway, that's important to recognize, because the reason being is because, let me ask you a question. What was Adam? Was Adam a Gentile or a Jew?
Jew.
That's the only first time I heard
It's the first
that.
time. Question. Is it correct? It's a Jew?
No, it's not correct.
Oh, he's a Gentile.
Where did the word Jew come from?
Mountain Dew.
Huh?
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. Okay, no. Jew.
Jew.
Indeed.
Okay,
I will try to articulate.
all right.
What was the question again?
If Adam is a Gentile or all
If Adam is a Gentile,
a Jew.
or a Jew? No, because Israelites is not even Gentiles.
Okay.
Not even Gentiles, because the Israelites at the very beginning is not exist.
Okay.
That's so cute.
So yes. All right. So let's talk about this.
Which one is yes? Jacob.
Just hold on. Hold on. Let's deal with Adam first. Okay. Adam was a believer.
Doesn't mean
This is what we're gonna call Adam. Okay. Adam was a garden saint.
a garden.
All right.
Why?
Well,
Because he lived in the garden?
actually, he's a post-garden saint because he didn't get saved until the fall, after the fall, right? So,
Yeah, because yeah.
okay, so Adam was the first human, right? So
Mm.
this deals with all humans. Okay.
Okay, all human.
Then you have Noah. Noah was also a post-garden saint. Okay.
Yeah, because after the flood, there's inhabitants again. Is that?
Yeah, Enoch. Yeah, but the difference is that instead of there only being one human on earth, God saves temporally in judgment 8 humans. Okay.
Mm.
And so from this, you don't have nations yet. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But out of these 8 humans, you have different groups that come about. I think the table of nations is actually brought up in there. But then you get to Abraham. And even with Abraham, okay, God chooses out of all the nations to pick one man
Yeah.
and then gives his covenant to, not for salvation, but for.
Ham. Oh, who was the chosen one?
So who wrestled with God?
Jacob.
Jacob.
And what was Jacob's name changed to after he wrestled with God?
Israel.
Okay,
Israel.
Israel. And how many children did Jacob have?
12.
Yes, 12. And basically these became the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay. So Joseph comes on the scene, right?
Mm.
And God uses Joseph to keep Israel alive.
The Joseph.
But they're just a people at this time. They are not a nation yet. They don't become a nation until they come out of Exodus.
So who is Adam?
Who is Adam? What?
So Adam is
Adam
not
is post-garden saint.
or is not the Jews nor Gentiles. So what Adam?
He's a
What is-
post-garden saint. Some people would look at him as like a Gentile because he's not a Jew. But technically the term nations didn't exist at that time. And that's what Gentile refers to, the Goy. Goyim, the nations, yes. Goyim, the nations. That's the word for it. And so that didn't exist with Adam. Okay. So you get to the time of Moses, right? And then Moses is the deliverer of the people of Israel. Okay.
This one got nation already.
What?
Moses have nation already.
No,
No, it's still no.
I don't think
But they
so.
go to-
Let's find out where Goy first occurs,
Okay.
and we'll go from there. The meeting will end in 10 minutes. They want me to upgrade. Okay, so what that means is that this is part 1, and we have part 2.
You need to
Sorry, I
pay.
can't afford the paid version right
It's
now,
okay,
guys.
it's okay. No problem.
All right.
Oh,
So I'll finish this thought here and then we'll pick up on the next one. All right.
Yeah.
Nation. Let's just use the English word nation. Not explanation. Okay, coastlands of the nations. So this is in Deuteronomy 10. From these, the coastlands of the nations were separated into lands. So this is where goy is first used. So you can make an argument that at least by Genesis 10, you have, but it says separation of the nations. So the question is, did the nations exist before they were separated, or did they come about in the separation?
Yeah, they are already nation before they separated, because how they can separate it if they are not nation? It already mentioned nation.
But even in that sense, it's not talking about Israel being a nation. Okay. So come on, Slowpoke. See, goy can be foreign nation, people nation. And we're gonna just check the Hebrew Bible real quick. All the times the word nation is being used, just look at it real quickly in the NASB. So you have it there, land by their nation. So Ham is mentioned here and by their nation. So yeah, I don't have a problem with the
These are
word
the sons
nation.
of Ham, according to
Nation
the
meaning ethnic group at this time, but not in the
different
sense of
tribes.
a political entity.
Yeah.
Is maybe way to clarify it. So you keep
Is there
going.
also
Go ahead.
what are the tribe? You can call it nation when the people
Well, the
got tribe.
tribes, if you're talking about within Israel, the tribes are within the nation Israel, but the tribes don't come about at first. It's just the
Mm.
Jacob and his 12 sons that become
Mm.
the 12 tribes. So right here in Genesis 12:2, it says, and I will make you a great nation. Maybe you could say, oh, there's a less nation already, but I don't think there is a nation because Abram don't even have a child at this point. So the nation doesn't exist yet. Okay. I will make
Okay.
for Israel, the nation doesn't exist in God's point of view. So then we keep going. Let's go to the end of the book. In your seed, all the nations should be blessed. 2 nations are in your womb. That's talking about Jacob and Esau, I think. Wait, something about Egypt here. I will make you a great nation there. You hear that? He says that when you go to Egypt,
Egypt.
I will
Yeah.
make you a great nation there. So
Maybe
It's Moses' time.
yes. So this is where it's talking about judgment on the nation of Egypt. And you shall be in Exodus 19, he says, and you shall be to me a kingdom, a priest, and a holy nation. Okay. So think of it like this, is that in order to have a nation, let me share my screen again. And if it cuts off, it cuts off. I'll call you back. But in order to have a nation, you need to have a constitution. In other words, a law. We'll call it a code.
Constitution law.
Now, it's
law.
true the Abrahamic covenant already existed, all right? But
Mm.
it wasn't specific enough to govern the 2 million, roughly 2 million people that came out in the Exodus, okay?
2
So
million came out from
2
Egypt.
million, yeah, something like that. So you got that going on. So when we're talking about the nation of Israel, so you go through the time of Moses, right? Do y'all know who takes over after Moses and
Hmm?
leads them? Who takes over Moses's job and leads the Israelites into the promised land? Starts with a J.
Aaron.
No.
Joshua.
Yes. So you have Joshua. And so this is the conquest. They're in the promised land. Okay. So Moses led the first generation and discipled the second generation. But it was actually Joshua that led them into the promised land. Okay. So once they got into the land, what happened next? Y'all remember that? After they fought, they got their inheritance of the land, right? So after they got their inheritance of the land, then you have the period of the judges. Y'all know what a judge is?
Yeah, the law, covenant.
Well, the judges in the book of
Because they don't have, yeah, they don't have king.
right,
So,
they don't have a king. Everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes. So
Yeah.
God raises up judges at different times. And basically what these people were like warriors. Okay.
Mm.
Tribal warrior type, people that took a stand, that were leaders. Some did good, some did bad, but you would always have this cycle and everything going on. So then you come to a guy named Samuel. All right. Ruth was written during the time of the judges too, but during the time of Samuel, all right, so Samuel was the last judge, okay? But Samuel was also a priest, okay? And he was a prophet. And he was the one that anointed the first king, Saul.
Yeah.
So the nation of Israel first had a human king
So the
with
first
Saul. Yes, he was their first human king. And so that was the beginning of the monarchy. Okay.
monarch.
But he was worldly, and various reasons and all this.
Monarch.
And the nation was immature. They wanted to be like the other nations and stuff. And so basically God raises up David. So David reigns. You know how long David stayed in power for?
40.
40 years, yes. 40 years. Okay. And so this happened around, I think, like 1000 BC, somewhere around there. Then Solomon comes on the scene, right? And Solomon, how long's he reign, Janet?
I keep on talking here, but I'm muted.
Okay.
Okay, your turn.
Solomon is 36 years.
40.
Oh,
Okay.
40.
I don't know where you got the word 36, but
I don't know. I just
most people say he reigned 40 as well. Okay. So in 939 BC, I think it's 939 BC, the kingdom divides.
Oh, the kingdom.
All right. So
Divide.
I
So
think,
that's why we have East.
did
and
I just
West.
say 939? Is that what I said? Something like
Yeah.
that. And you have two sons, Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Okay. And so it divides up, into the north and
Yeah,
the
the
south.
East and West. North, South.
Okay. Then basically you have 10 tribes in the north. And you have the
Tribes.
south made of Judah, Benjamin, and Levites and stuff like that, if I remember right. Okay, so this is Judah, all right? Well, David is from Judah, okay? He's the king of the Jews in that sense. Now, so you have the kingdom divided and you have that going on. Now, what you have is the first captivity. Oh no, since the Egyptian captivity. I don't know how much time we have left. I don't know where it's telling us, but anyway, you have what's called the Assyrian captivity.
Assyrian.
The Assyrian Empire took the 10 tribes in captivity